Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to introduce our presentation on global demography. Today, we'll explore the latest trends and insights into the world's population, including growth rates, age distributions, and migration patterns. We'll also look at the social, economic, and environmental impacts of these demographic shifts. So, let's dive in and gain a deeper understanding of how our world is changing. The importance of demography lies in its ability to give us valuable insights into the patterns and trends that shape the global population. By looking closely at factors like birth rates, death rates, migration patterns, and how age is distributed across populations, demographers can make informed predictions about future changes. These insights help us understand the driving forces behind population shifts and have significant implications for society as a whole, impacting social, economic, and political aspects. Global demography, in particular, is the study of population dynamics on a worldwide scale. It's a scientific field that focuses on understanding and analyzing the processes that influence how many people there are, where they live, and their characteristics. The key factors that demographers examine include birth, migration, and aging, all of which involve studying mortality or death rates, as well as the aging process itself. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding these demographic processes is essential because they shape the future of our societies and inform policies that address global challenges. Let's take a closer look at this key aspect of global demography, how the world's population has evolved over time. As we examine the data, we see a remarkable increase in the global population, jumping from 2 billion to 6.5 billion people between 1995 and 2005. This rapid growth highlights how quickly populations can change within a relatively short period. Looking ahead, projections suggest that by 2050, the world's population could reach around 9 billion. This would mean an annual increase of over 50 million people. However, after this period of rapid growth, experts expect the growth rate to slow down significantly. We might even see a decline in the future, driven by factors like an aging population, lower birth rates, and a trend towards more urban living. These shifts are what we call a demographic shift, and they are crucial to understanding the future challenges and opportunities we face globally. So, in summary, population growth has been rapid historically, but the future points towards slower growth, aging populations, and increased urbanization, key trends that will shape our world for decades to come. This trend of an aging population requires us to think carefully about how we structure our social welfare systems, healthcare services, and retirement policies. As the demographics shift, governments and policymakers need to step up and address the needs of their older citizens. This means making sure that social safety nets and public services are robust enough to support a growing elderly population. Now, these demographic changes have big implications for countries and societies worldwide. In many developed nations, for example, birth rates are dropping below the replacement level of 2.1 children per woman. When this happens, demographic change becomes a hot topic in political debates because it impacts everything from economic growth to social stability. And as life expectancy continues to increase, we face a real challenge: an aging population. This means a larger proportion of people are elderly, which puts pressure on healthcare systems, pension schemes, and even the workforce. So, understanding these demographic shifts is crucial because they influence not only policy decisions, but also the overall future of our societies. It ties back to the broader theme of how populations evolve and what that means for our collective well-being. Governments, businesses, and other institutions rely heavily on demographic data to understand how populations are changing and what that means for the future. This data helps them make informed decisions about crucial areas like healthcare infrastructure, education systems, housing developments, and workforce planning. For example, if the data shows an aging population, policies can be adjusted to better support healthcare services for seniors or to plan for retirement housing. It's important to remember that demography isn't just about numbers like birth rates, mortality rates, or migration patterns. It has real-world applications that impact our daily lives. The insights we gain from demographic studies help shape policies, guide investments, and ensure that essential services are prepared to meet future needs. So, when we talk about practical applications of demography, we're really talking about how these insights translate into tangible decisions that affect communities and economies alike. This connection between data and real-world planning is a key part of understanding why demography matters so much in shaping our societies. Let's start by exploring a powerful quote from Giacomo Casanova. "There is no such thing as destiny. We shape our own lives." This reminds us that our actions, choices, and personal agency are what truly determine the course of our lives, rather than external forces or predetermined fate. It emphasizes the importance of individual responsibility in shaping our future. Now, moving on to the idea that demography is not a destiny. This means that while demographic factors like birth rates, death rates, and migration patterns help us understand societal trends, they don't control what happens next. Demography provides valuable insights, but it doesn't decide the ultimate outcome for a population. Our choices and actions can influence these trends, making the future less about fate and more about human agency. Finally, we come to the concept of destiny versus choice. This is a philosophical debate about whether our lives are preordained, or if we have the power to make decisions that shape our destiny. It's an ongoing discussion about how much control we really have. Are external forces guiding us, or do we hold the keys to our own future? Connecting this to our overall theme, it highlights how understanding these ideas can help us better grasp the complexities of global demography and our role within it. Let's take a closer look at some demography highlights. As populations change, they bring along a variety of challenges. For example, shifts in demographics often mean we need stronger social safety nets, better employment conditions, and more comprehensive healthcare provisions to support the changing needs of society. When we address these demographic challenges, it's important to understand how different regions are affected in unique ways. Some countries are experiencing rapid population growth, which can strain resources and infrastructure. Others face population decline, leading to different economic and social issues. Studying demography helps us understand these contrasting situations. It reveals how societies develop and evolve over time, influenced by economic shifts, migration patterns, and other factors. This field offers valuable insights into global changes, allowing us to anticipate future trends and better plan for them. Historically, demography has played a crucial role in understanding how populations shape civilizations, influence policies, and drive development. All of these points underscore the importance of demography in understanding the past, managing the present, and planning for the future of our societies. Migration can be seen as a potential way to address demographic imbalances we're facing. When people move across borders, it can lead to intermarriage and the blending of different populations. This mixing has the potential to create a new kind of society, with changing identities and cultural dynamics. But at the same time, there are valid concerns about losing the unique identities that certain groups have preserved over time. So, when we discuss migration and intermarriage, we're really looking at both the opportunities for renewal and the challenges of maintaining distinct cultural roots as populations shift and blend. Now, the term demographic suicide is a powerful way to describe a troubling trend, when a country experiences a persistent imbalance between birth rates and death rates. Countries like Germany, Japan, Italy, Russia, and South Korea are facing declining birth rates that are lower than their death rates. This situation is often called demographic suicide because it suggests a kind of self-inflicted decline of the population. But despite these demographic trends, it's important to remember that human agency, the choices people make, still plays a crucial role. Societies are not just passive victims of these numbers, they can take actions that influence their future. This highlights how complex and dynamic demographic changes are and how they tie into broader societal shifts. So, understanding these concepts helps us see the bigger picture of how populations evolve and how societies adapt, or struggle to adapt, to these demographic challenges. When we look at global demography, it's clear that a variety of factors come into play, and they often interact in complex ways. Economic conditions, for example, such as income levels, employment opportunities, and the cost of living, can really influence how populations grow or migrate from one place to another. If people have better job prospects and higher incomes, that can lead to population growth in certain areas, while high living costs might push people to move elsewhere. But it's not just about money. Social factors like education, cultural norms, and family structures also shape demographic trends significantly. For instance, in some societies, cultural norms around family size or gender roles can influence birth rates and population growth. And then there's the environmental side of things, which is increasingly important. Climate conditions, the availability of natural resources, and urbanization all have profound effects on population dynamics. For example, climate change can make certain regions less habitable, pushing populations to move, while urbanization often concentrates populations in cities, affecting resource distribution and living conditions. So, understanding these interconnected economic, social, and environmental factors helps us grasp the bigger picture of how global populations are changing and what might influence those trends in the future. These factors do not operate in isolation, but rather form a complex web of interrelated influences that collectively shape the global demographic landscape. Understanding the intricate relationships and interdependencies between these factors is crucial for effectively analyzing and predicting population dynamics on a global scale. The demography of the world is influenced by a myriad of complex factors that interact and shape the population trends and dynamics. As highlighted in the paper by Massimo Livibacci, several key factors play a significant role in driving demographic changes, including erratic mortality, demographic trends, ancient regime crises, diseases, economic factors, rebound and adjustment of the demographic system, fertility and population growth, and migration. These elements are interconnected, meaning that changes in one area can ripple through the others, creating a constantly evolving demographic picture. Recognizing this complexity helps us better understand how populations grow, decline, or shift over time, and underscores the importance of a comprehensive approach when analyzing demographic data. Ultimately, grasping these interrelated influences allows us to make more accurate predictions about future population trends and their implications for society and policy. Let's talk about erratic mortality, which refers to major fluctuations in death rates that happen over time. These fluctuations are driven by various factors, including how the pathology system has evolved and how that evolution impacts mortality rates. As the pathology system changes, we see significant effects on how many people die and when. These changes have led to what we call demographic shifts, especially noticeable during the 19th and 20th centuries. These shifts reflect how populations grow, decline, or move in response to health-related factors. A key point to understand is that erratic mortality is heavily influenced by the evolution of the pathology system itself. Over time, this system has transformed due to genetic mutations, social inheritance, and the complex interactions between humans, microbes, animal vectors, and the environment. All these elements together shape how diseases emerge, spread, and affect populations, leading to those unpredictable fluctuations in mortality we see throughout history. Recognizing these patterns helps us better understand the broader picture of public health evolution and the ongoing challenges we face. Demographic trends refer to the various patterns we observe in population growth, decline, and how people are spread out across different areas. These patterns are influenced by several key factors, including birth rates, which determine how many new people are born, death rates, which show us how many people are passing away, and migration, which involves people moving from one place to another. Other demographic processes, like aging populations and fertility rates, also play a role. Understanding these trends is crucial because they help us predict how populations will change in the future. By analyzing these patterns, we can better plan for resources, infrastructure, and social services. This slide ties into the overall theme by emphasizing how demographic shifts impact society and the importance of staying informed about these changes for effective planning. These events have had a profound impact on global demography, leading to significant population declines and shifts in how populations are distributed around the world. It's really important to understand the historical context and causes behind these crises, because doing so helps us develop strategies to mitigate their effects. Ultimately, this understanding can guide us toward fostering more stable demographic trends in the future. Now, when we talk about ancient regime crises, we're referring to crises caused directly by human actions. Think about man-made famines, conflicts, and various catastrophes. These are not natural disasters, but events driven by human decisions or failures. Throughout history, such crises have caused major demographic disruptions. They have affected birth rates, increased death rates, and even changed migration patterns as people sought safety or better opportunities elsewhere. For example, famines in regions like Ukraine and Russia, China, and North Korea serve as stark illustrations of how human-made crises can devastate populations. These events didn't just cause immediate suffering, they left long-lasting impacts on the demographic structure of those societies. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding these crises helps us see the importance of preventing such human-driven disasters and preparing better responses. It reminds us that human actions can have far-reaching consequences on population dynamics, emphasizing the need for effective policies and interventions. Throughout history, deadly outbreaks like the Black Death, smallpox, and influenza have had devastating effects on populations around the world. These events didn't just cause immediate loss of life, they also led to significant shifts in demographics over time. One of the key factors that determined their long-term impact was how well healthcare systems could respond and contain the spread of these diseases. When healthcare was able to act quickly and effectively, it often limited the extent of the damage. Conversely, inadequate responses could lead to even more profound demographic changes. It's also important to recognize that the emergence of new deadly diseases, along with the resilience of older ones, continues to shape our demographic landscape. Modern healthcare systems need to be sustainable economically to keep up with these persistent threats. Epidemics and pandemics have historically influenced not just mortality rates, but also migration patterns and how healthcare resources are allocated. So, when we think about diseases in the context of global history and demography, it becomes clear that their impact goes far beyond individual health. These outbreaks shape entire populations and societies over the long term. Understanding this helps us appreciate the crucial role that healthcare resilience and preparedness play in influencing demographic trends across the world. When we talk about economic factors, we're really looking at how advancements in technology, productivity, and investments can influence demographic trends. When an economy is doing well, it often leads to better healthcare systems, which in turn can lower mortality rates. As societies develop economically, we also see changes in fertility rates. Sometimes they decline as people focus more on education and careers. These economic factors are crucial because they shape the overall demographic landscape around the world. They help us understand why populations grow, shrink, or age in different regions, and how economic prosperity can create ripple effects across societies. So, in essence, economic health and development are deeply intertwined with demographic changes and help explain many of the patterns we see globally. After experiencing a major crisis, societies often go through a phase of rebound and adjustment in their demographic systems. What this means is that following a crisis, populations tend to respond in various ways to stabilize and recover. For example, we might see changes in birth rates. Sometimes they increase as communities rebuild, or they might decline temporarily. Migration patterns can also shift, with people moving to safer or more resource-rich areas. Economic activities usually pick up again, but these shifts can be quite complex. Let's look at some concrete examples. Rebound can manifest as increases in prices, especially after events like bad weather or natural disasters, which disrupt supply chains. War-related mortality often leads to subsequent famine and disease outbreaks, which then influence population recovery. Additionally, we observe shifts in marriage and fertility rates. Sometimes they spike as people seek stability or delay decisions during uncertain times. Understanding this rebound process is crucial because it highlights how societies adapt and recover after crises, helping us see the resilience built into demographic systems. It's an essential part of the overall picture of how populations respond and evolve through challenging times. Let's talk about the impact on the age structure of a population. Changes in fertility rates can really influence how the age groups are distributed within a country. For example, when fertility rates decline, it often leads to an aging population, which can create new challenges in areas like healthcare and social support systems. Countries such as Japan and Thailand are good examples of this trend. Their fertility rates have decreased significantly over the years, resulting in a larger proportion of older people. Fertility rates and population growth are crucial aspects of demography because they directly affect the overall makeup of a population. When fertility rates drop, we might see a rapid population decline or an aging population, which can impact economic productivity and social services. So, understanding these trends helps us grasp the broader picture of demographic changes and their implications for society. It's all interconnected. Fertility rates shape the age structure, which in turn influences many other aspects of a country's development and future planning. Let's take a closer look at how the factors influencing world demography are interconnected. These forces, biological, social, economic, and environmental, don't operate in isolation. Instead, they interact in complex ways, shaping population patterns across the globe. Understanding these interactions is really important for policymakers, researchers, and societies alike, because it helps us make informed decisions about population management, healthcare, and development strategies. Now, one of the most significant factors in shaping these demographic patterns is migration. Migration affects where people live, how old they are, and even the cultural makeup of regions. Both internal migration, which is movement within a country, and international migration, crossing borders, can have big impacts. For example, when people move to a particular area, that region can experience growth, while others may see a decline in population. These shifts influence everything from resource allocation to social services. So migration isn't just about movement. It's a powerful driver of demographic change that connects directly to the broader themes of population dynamics and societal development. Recognizing its role helps us better understand the evolving human landscape worldwide. Let's take a closer look at some key global demographic trends. These include population growth, aging populations, urbanization, and shifting migration patterns. Each of these trends has a major impact on economic development, how resources are allocated, and social welfare systems around the world. By analyzing and forecasting these trends, governments and organizations can better plan for the future, addressing both the challenges and opportunities that come with a changing global landscape. When we talk about global demographic trends, we're referring to the patterns and changes in population size, distribution, and composition across different regions. These shifts are driven by factors like fertility rates, mortality rates, and migration patterns. Understanding these trends is essential for policymakers, businesses, and researchers because it helps us anticipate the evolving needs of populations and respond effectively. So, in essence, keeping an eye on these demographic changes allows us to make smarter decisions today to ensure a sustainable and equitable future for everyone. Demographic trends are influenced by a complex interplay of factors. These include why couples decide to have children, the economic considerations that shape family planning, and migration patterns that affect where populations are concentrated. All of these dynamics have important implications. They impact global population growth, contribute to urbanization, and influence the aging of societies worldwide. Migration patterns, whether within countries or across borders, play a significant role in reshaping the geographic distribution of populations. These movements can lead to densely populated urban centers or rural depopulation in certain areas. At the same time, the economic realities faced by families greatly impact their decisions about having children. Family planning choices are often driven by economic considerations, which in turn influence demographic shifts over time. Understanding what influences couples' decisions to have children is crucial for projecting future population trends. This helps us anticipate changes in population growth, urbanization, and aging societies, all of which are key themes in this presentation. Overall, these interconnected factors shape the global demographic landscape and inform our understanding of how populations evolve across the world. Continuing the family's legacy is another powerful emotional driver. Having children ensures that the family's name and traditions are passed down to the next generation. It helps preserve a sense of continuity, connecting the past, present, and future. There's a profound sense of responsibility that comes with being the bearers of family history. Couples decide to have children for many reasons, and many of these reasons are deeply emotional and rooted in their personal aspirations and values. Often, the desire to symbolize a successful union is a strong motivator. For many couples, having a child isn't just about expanding their family. It's a physical manifestation of their love and a sign of the stability and strength of their relationship. In contrast to rural areas, urbanized and professional families often have fewer children. This is mainly because of the demands of their careers and busy lifestyles. In these settings, families tend to focus more on saving for retirement, healthcare, and their children's education. The cost of raising a child, especially when it comes to education, can be quite substantial in urban environments. Because of that, these families usually prioritize financial stability and long-term planning over having many children. On the other hand, in rural areas where agriculture is a primary occupation, having more children can actually be seen as an economic advantage. Children can help out with farm work during planting and harvest seasons. Their labor becomes an important resource for the family's livelihood and growth. Plus, in rural communities, children are often viewed as a form of social security, helping parents when they're older and unable to work as much. While emotional reasons often get the most attention when families decide to have children, economic factors play a quietly powerful role. Couples are constantly weighing whether a child will be an asset or a burden for their family's economic situation. And of course, these decisions are influenced heavily by their socioeconomic status and the region they live in. This all ties back to the larger theme of how different environments shape family planning choices. In contrast, urban families tend to rely more on the nuclear family unit. The pace of urban life and the high level of geographical mobility often limit the involvement of extended family members in daily life. As a result, urban parents often have to balance their careers and childcare responsibilities without the extensive support networks that are more common in rural areas. Family structures and support systems differ quite significantly between rural and urban settings. In rural areas, families usually have larger kinship networks, with extended family members living nearby and providing a solid safety net of support. Children in rural communities are often expected to contribute to the family's economic well-being and to help care for their parents in old age. This creates a strong sense of interconnectedness and shared responsibility that forms the backbone of rural life. Understanding these differences helps us see how social support systems shape family roles and everyday life in different environments, and it ties into the overall theme of how context influences family dynamics. Urbanization is a major factor influencing population dynamics around the world. As more people move from rural areas to urban centers, driven by the search for better job opportunities and access to modern lifestyles, we see urban populations growing rapidly. This trend hasn't just started recently. It's been ongoing for decades and has now accelerated, transforming many parts of the world into predominantly urbanized landscapes. International migration also plays a crucial role in shaping population demographics. People often migrate to more developed countries for a variety of reasons, whether it's economic opportunity, safety, or better living standards. These movements significantly impact both the origin and destination regions. Another key point is the interplay between family decisions about childbearing and broader population trends. In some regions, especially less developed ones with strong agricultural economies, families often have more children because of the economic benefits associated with larger families. This results in higher population growth rates, which then influence urbanization and migration patterns. All of these factors, urbanization, migration, and family planning, are interconnected and influence how populations change over time. Countries respond to these trends by crafting policies aimed at managing growth, supporting economic development, and addressing social needs. Understanding these dynamics helps us see the bigger picture of how population growth interacts with urbanization and migration, shaping the future of societies worldwide. However, it's important to recognize that immigration also brings up some concerns, particularly around job competition and wage pressures. These issues often lead to heated political debates and can drive policy changes. At the same time, many argue that immigration can actually help offset the challenges posed by aging populations. By replenishing the workforce, immigrants contribute to the economy and support social systems that might otherwise be strained. This idea ties into the broader strategy that some countries are adopting to address demographic shifts. Many nations are experiencing a significant demographic shift toward older populations, mainly because of declining birth rates and increased life expectancy. This combination means fewer young people entering the workforce, which can impact economic growth and social services. So, by encouraging immigration, countries aim to balance these demographic changes, supporting sustained economic vitality and social stability. The viewpoints surrounding the topic of overpopulation have evolved over time. While some concerns about overpopulation are valid, others have been criticized for being too extreme or not fully considering the complex factors that influence global demography. However, Malthus' original prediction did not materialize as he expected. Thanks to advancements in agriculture, technology, and economic development, we've seen increased food production and better living standards worldwide. This has led many to critique the alarmist claims about overpopulation, viewing them as impractical or exaggerated. Now, Thomas Malthus, a significant British scholar, first raised concerns about population growth in his 1798 work, An Essay on the Principle of Population. He argued that population tends to grow exponentially, meaning it increases rapidly, while food production increases only linearly, at a much slower pace. He warned that eventually, the population could outstrip the available food supply, leading to famines, diseases, and societal issues. So, understanding these evolving perspectives helps us see how our approach to overpopulation has changed, highlighting both the original concerns and how modern advancements have shaped our current outlook. While the Aeolics' concerns about the environment and resource depletion were somewhat valid, their doomsday predictions of imminent catastrophe were met with criticism and skepticism. Critics argued that their perspective didn't fully consider the complexities of socioeconomic factors, technological innovation, and human adaptability. In many cases, societies have demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate in response to challenges posed by growing populations. Back in the late 1960s, Paul R. Ehrlich, an American biologist, and his wife Anne published The Population Bomb, which raised alarms about overpopulation's potential impact on our environment and resources. They warned of global environmental disasters, food shortages, and even mass starvation if population growth wasn't controlled. Their proposed solutions included policy measures, and in some extreme cases, controversial methods like chemical castration. This historical perspective helps us understand the roots of concern about overpopulation. but it also highlights the importance of considering broader factors and human resilience when analyzing these issues. So, rather than focusing solely on controlling population growth, modern discussions about sustainable development are shifting towards a broader perspective. It's now about understanding the importance of changing consumption patterns, managing resources more effectively, leveraging technological advancements, and ensuring resources are distributed fairly. These are all crucial for creating a sustainable future. It's also worth noting that population growth rates have actually been declining in many parts of the world. This decline is largely due to improved access to education, healthcare, and family planning services, which empower individuals to make informed choices. Now, regarding some of the earlier proposed solutions by the ALEX, like forced sterilization and heavy taxation, these ideas raised serious ethical concerns. They infringed on individual rights and personal autonomy, which makes them highly problematic. Plus, their practicality and actual effectiveness were questionable, which is why they faced significant pushback. In essence, the conversation has evolved from simple population control to a more holistic approach that considers multiple interconnected factors to achieve sustainability. It's crucial to find a balance between promoting responsible population growth and respecting individual rights and choices. We need to be careful not to oversimplify the solutions or fall into alarmist rhetoric, as that can actually do more harm than good. Instead, what's really needed is a thoughtful, evidence-based approach that recognizes the complexity of global demography. While concerns about overpopulation and its potential challenges are valid, history shows us that many predictions of catastrophic outcomes have been overly alarmist. Addressing environmental and resource issues requires a nuanced perspective, one that considers a variety of factors, including advances in technology, social systems, and sustainable development practices. In conclusion, our goal should be to approach these challenges with careful consideration and balanced insights, ensuring that we work toward solutions that are both effective and respectful of individual rights. This balanced approach aligns with the overall theme of responsible and informed decision-making for a sustainable future.